Suicide is my only friend. It connects us all broken in the end. From Body Rolls. The statistical odds that I am going to kill myself one day are astronomical. Since coming out as a trans person, internet assholes have routinely reminded me of some memetic statistic that 41% of trans people kill themselves. It always makes me laugh because I know my odds are actually much higher than that. Limp-wristed though it may have been, I made a suicide attempt as a child, which in itself spikes the odds considerably. When my dad tried to take out life insurance on everyone in the family around 10 years ago, they wouldn't let him take a policy out on me just because of the fact that I had made an attempt at any point, and that was on record with the psychologist who I had seen for general depression and anxiety when I was 20. Funnily enough, my shrink committed unintentional suicide a few years later when he crashed a plane that he was flying some rapper friend around in. I remember him always talking about how much he loved flying, bemoaning how he could only do it every few months in between his political activism within the community schools and working as a bad shrink in a highly suspect building where a highly suspect other man would write my prescriptions as I walked in the door, never look me in the eye, and never even remember my name. That building was torn down a few years ago. All the bad things go away if you outlive them. Some people experience ego death from drugs, some from religion. I experienced it through Neon Genesis Evangelion. After all, there's no easier way to explain something to an autistic person than in clear English. The conception of Asuka in Shinji's mind is a separate person from the conception of Asuka within her own mind, and reconciling this difference in understanding is the key to communication. Once you know that, all that's left is to learn the rules, one by one. But what if you don't know any of the rules? Or what if you do, but no one else does, and they think you're crazy when you try to tell them how things really are? Well, you become an internet schizo poster, or incredibly famous and wealthy. Or if you're bipolar, you constantly navigate these extremes. My identity is a billion reflections of the same core concept, ever shifting with context, liquid magma. I am the burning water. I am the heat in the blood that anime was founded on, blinded by, and driven to the ocean with. The woke ones build their own external communities, self-perpetuating on the back of a trust that people have in one of the few, and thus I seek to see Anno and Miyazaki as peers. There is nothing stopping me except my own shame, a shame which I choose to give myself in order to drive myself forward. It's not a shame anyone else could ever convince me to have. I feel a compulsion almost to antagonize those who would try, just for the chance to double down and kill even more of the fake shame that I pretended to construct in myself moments before as a setup to deconstructing it moments later, all to guide you through the logic by which I can make the assertion. If I lost you in that sentence, don't worry about it. Catch the ones you can and use them to decode the ones you don't. All I've ever done is repeat myself over and over again. When I was a teenager, I hated my life. I had nothing that I wanted and no concept of how to grasp for anything. The only thing keeping me from killing myself was the thought that my family had not fucked up badly enough to deserve my blood on their hands. The fact that I believed that is, I suppose, all the evidence that's necessary. Suffice it to say, if they'd been any worse, I probably wouldn't be here right now, and my goal probably wouldn't be to live as long as possible. I was 16 when I decided that if living an unhappy life was going to lead me to suicide, then the only two options which made any sense were either to kill myself or to become the person that I wanted to be. So this just left the questions, who do I want to be and how do I become them? I'm sure you wanted to be a lot of things throughout your life which you've never become. How many things that you wanted to be have you become, though? Or have you only ever been halfway there? That's fine. Anywhere past the starting line is ahead of the pack. Just keep moving. You will get there, or you will die. Those are the only possibilities. If you stop moving, there are no possibilities. You will stand there until you die. I've always been a coward because I've never been able to trust people, because I've never been able to believe that there were people that legitimately think like me. When I found the only few I could, I cloistered them up for years and didn't even try to find more people like them because I couldn't find enough evidence of them, or I couldn't speak the truths about others to myself that I was recognizing because deep down I still harbor the doubts which are poured onto me constantly. Doubts from myself, my family, my friends, my fans, and my ops, be they out of sincere concern or legitimately righteous anger at my mistakes. The doubts have never once moved me forward. They have only ever held me back. The only way forward has ever been forward, and the people I've been willing to take with me have always been the ones who are willing to continue walking beside me. I don't care if you have literally nothing more to offer than messages of support or money. If you keep doing it, you're always cool in my book, because it means that you still see where I'm going and still want to go there with me, even if some of the wounds that you receive along the way come from me directly. And I, with my harsh dearth of trust, will bite back at a little nip, because I don't want to be fooled again. When I was young, I was small, frail, and feminine, and my mom thought those things were cool about me, so I thought those things were cool about me. I like that people can't easily detect my presence, so I can move around spaces and study them from a distance without directly engaging. I like that I tend to know way more about someone than they expect when they start talking to me. I like that I can successfully psychoanalyze people just based on what parts of my content they like, and I like that people will literally pay me to do that. I've given away way too much of myself for free because I want to nurture the people who are like me. Every video I make should be someone's activation, and once you're activated, you need to realize that you're already part of the in-crowd. You already have the right to hang out and do drugs with me at anime conventions because you already know who I am, and if you really know who I am, then I know who you are because you are me. We've all experienced weird shit, and we're all trying to heal. We're all trying to find excuses to live, and for some people it's very easy. If you love someone so much that you'll work a 9-to-5 job just to ensure their safety and be completely satisfied in that, then I'm happy for you. And in fact, I need you to do that, because I need to be the you that you no longer feel you need to be in order to live. I only find power in the affirmation that my content is making people live, and that affirmation is given to me in the fact that I am given the ability to live by people whose existence is further contented by mine. There are only two kinds of people whom I have time to consider relevant to myself. This is just simply the result of having such a limited amount of time to actually exist on this earth and having blown through as much of it as I have already. Those groups are the people working with me and the people paying me, which in their own way are also the people working with me. If you're not working with me, then I don't have time to give a fuck about you, unless I can turn you into money. I don't expect people to want to work with me forever or all the time. I can be really fucking hard to work with because I am always realizing new things about who I want to be. As I unravel the tangled web of identity I ensconced myself in to create the person I thought I had to be to do what I wanted to do, I constantly kill myself and am reborn, seeking to boil down to a bedrock I'm not sure has ever been defined. I literally don't know what's on the other side of this transformation, or if it has another solid state to reach. I am only interested in being whoever I am at the moment that I am living in, and if that person in that moment is depressed, then I must be fucking everything up. There's no option for me but to be constantly the person I need to be, because I can't convince myself that life is at all worth living if I'm anyone other than that person. It's a matter of navigating guilt, deciding who I do or don't want to fuck over, because I don't know how many people I can trust to keep me going. Will there really be enough of them for me to go on forever? The answer is yes. I've learned that now because I've met many more of them. I'm sure not all of my relationships will last forever, but it's okay because there is always another node of myself, another person on course to be the same person that I'm going to be at the place that I arrive, and who will walk with me until their path diverges again. I want these partings to be as amicable as possible. I don't consider any bridges burned because I am an engine of forgiveness. I will do it tactically and with impunity. I will love and tolerate as a matter of course because I am whoever I love, and through them I continue existing. Let me love you. I don't need to exist. I've died many times and I will die many more before my physical form deteriorates. If one day my goal is no longer to live as long as possible, then so be it, but it is precisely that thinking which lets me chase that goal for now with such gusto, because what else is there really to live for? Nothing ever changes, it's just the same shit over and over again. If you get bored of it, you're probably just not doing enough of it. The funny thing about autistic people is that we're very easily entertained. We can unpack an idea forever on a quest to divine its purpose as literally as we can, and through obsessive-compulsive tendencies lose ourselves in the struggle to define the thing we think we see as perfectly as possible. But everyone has an impressionistic and a lexical side, the one that learns through observation, and the one that analyzes and compartmentalizes the information into whatever form it can. In the head of the artist, the lexical mind is the one telling them that their expression is inaccurate or incomplete, and berating them for their inability to communicate properly. To the impressionistic side, though, those concerns are completely immaterial, as the underlying theme and personal resonance is the real point of interest, and ultimately what will reach the audience. To me, it has always seemed completely ludicrous to consider something bad as a matter of course. Badness is only relative to its context. Is it bad that the artist didn't accomplish what they wanted to? This will always be the case. Even Hayao Miyazaki, despite literally trying to, couldn't check every single frame of animation on even his greatest films. I guarantee there is much that he would change, but not for the fact that he knows it's not worth it to try. Miyazaki, like most animators, is quite autistic, quite particular about what is good and how to live, even if his understanding of those things is couched so heavily in metaphor that he is best known for his ability to convey those metaphors artistically. It is rare, though, that an animator has the cultural cachet and funding to pour their autism into their work in the way that Miyazaki does, with a fixation on traditional ideas about quality. Most animators are much more interested in self-expression through the collection of tropes which categorically encapsulate their emotional states and fetishes. This, to me, is what the point of anime really is, and why, even though I've been obsessed with the medium in a meta-contextual sense since I was 10 back in 2001, it wasn't until I broke open the part of my brain which contextualizes audiovisual metaphor that I felt a real love for Miyazaki, gained by getting high and watching My Neighbor Totoro again in 2017, elevating my impression of the film higher the better the drugs I watch it on. It's nothing special about the drugs, but just that for me they allowed me to reapproach a mind state I had lived in for a very long time of ego death, formerly by self-desecration. I had to construct an identity in order to become a famous person on the internet, and eventually I got so used to living that way that I literally couldn't remember anymore what kind of person I had wanted to be before that until I found my partner. Through our mutual understanding and projection onto and through one another, we came face to face with our entire lifetime's worth of trauma to try and unpack and heal from, something we could best do by creating things together, all the time, and talking about our feelings constantly. There are two minds inside of me which harmonize to bring me into the flow state. An emotional creature to whom every two sentences sound exactly the same, and an autistic machine which can continually justify making new statements by proving the same thing can always be expressed in a slightly different way with slightly different effects. You can either listen to me repeat myself, or you can find your own way to prattle on. We can do it together, or we can do it while listening to one another. Or if you're content to just listen, you can let it all wash over you. Just drop something in the communion box before you go. Please and thank you.